Hey, g'day people, it's Matt here from Matt Carve. So today we're going to have a look at noses. Yes, this is very close, but we've got to get close to have a look at the nose. So here we go. Sorry, I've got not a great looking nose. It's huge, but you get what you're given. So, okay, so the nose, we're going to have a look at today. This beautiful line that goes over like this, how it sort of like joins the nose, how to carve that. Also this part here and the line that goes down like that, where to join onto the nose, and also the length of the nose. And what people often mistake is they'll go to the point there where it's the highest, whereas I should actually go down a little bit further because that's the length, not here. Okay, let's get on with carving the nose. Okay, so we're going to use this piece of wood here. It is, 5 inches long and tall and 2.5 wide. And we're going to use that carving just as a template for that nose. I don't think this block is probably big enough to do a complete carving in it. Maybe it is. I'll see how I go. So I'm just putting in like the tip there, right there, and also the bottom of the nose, which is a little bit further down. So essentially what we're going to do is, I'm just going to draw in here where it gets, you can carve it into that corner bit. So up the top, we're going to carve the bridge and then go down to the highest point and then round it off down the bottom. So the first thing we want to carve is we want to go back into that bridge just below the forehead. So I've carved a little bit of the forehead there. And that is the bottom of the nose. So I just put it going a little bit there at the moment. So now we go from that bridge up to the highest point. Maybe take a little bit off the highest point because you want it kind of a little bit flattened at the top of the nose, so you can round it off at the end. And you can see there, I'm putting in the middle line and maybe how wide the nose is going to be at that bridge, and then come down. You want to make the nose too big if anything, and then you can narrow it up as you go along. So when I'm carving faces, I tend to put the nose in first and then do a rough kind of outline of it, and then I'll put the eyes in, the forehead in, and the mouth and all of that. So I tend to use the nose as kind of the reference for the carving. Now I'm putting a channel down each side of the nose, and so the bottom part of that channel will form the nostril, and probably the top part of that channel I will carve away. So I'm carving with a Kutzall taper burr there. It's a fine, and you can see I'm just kind of drawing in the nostrils there. So now we're going to have a look at maybe the top side of the nose, up towards the eye, and it goes down and then back up again underneath the eye. And we're just going to sketch that in now, so you can see it on this guy here, and it goes from the nose, planes out, and so it's quite a smooth transition, and then it kind of goes up again. And it tends to go up just at the top part, around about there, whereas a bit lower down it will go down the face there and form the cheekbone in that area there. And remember that line that I pointed out before, that changes in everybody, how pronounced it is and everything like that, depending on how big they are and how old they are or how skinny they are. And to put that smooth kind of transition in, I like to use something quite round. So the sphere burr is really good for that. Well, it depends on the size of the sculpture that you're going to be doing. Always try and do both sides at the same time, so you keep things kind of uniform as you go along. Okay, so let's have a look at the underside of the nose and how that joins the face. And so you'll see here, it's quite high here, quite high there, and then it falls down, so it actually joins the face further back here. So it's not like a flat plane going across and then like that, but it's actually falling away. So that's sort of just something to keep in mind. And when you're sort of starting out, just sort of don't take and try and do all of these kind of things all at once. Maybe just sort of concentrate on this part here and smoothing that out and going around the eye like that and getting it to drop down like this. And then maybe on another sculpture you can sort of like get it to fall away here. So just sort of like take, you know, Rome wasn't built in a day. So, but anyway, so let's get back to this. So we will be putting in that kind of part next. Okay, so I'm using a different burr here, but you don't have to. You could use just that taper burr that I had before. I'm not quite sure why I'm using this one. They all do sort of like general kind of bits, but you can sort of see there I'm sort of trying to sort of like get that form quite good underneath the nose. And I've got to remember here that I am actually going to put in a moustache, so I don't want to take that part under the nose too far back. I want some material left there to put a moustache in. And I'm using a cutter burr there to sort of define the nose a little bit more. I'm starting to go quite deep in that point there. And you can sort of see on the sculpture on the left how I've gone quite deep in that area there. So it's sort of like an intersection between sort of the nose, the moustache and the skin, and almost that fold that comes down as well. And you kind of want to leave the nasal holes to the sort of the end until you're really happy with the size of the nose, because once you put those holes in, you're very limited on reducing the size of the nose. And if you want them to look more realistic, don't do them round. They're kind of like oval. You sort of want to sort of like go down and then back around. Sort of it almost comes back on in itself. And everyone's sort of nose is different, so I always use reference pictures. A lot of people don't use reference pictures, and they will sort of like, I guess you kind of suffer from it if you don't use a reference picture, because you kind of rely on your memory on what you think a face looks like. And also feel like your nose and see how that feels and how it joins onto your face. So you might be quite surprised at what you think a nose is and what is actually the shapes of the nose. So I'm just using a diamond burr and I'm trying to get the outer nasal part to come back in on itself there. Just and trying to get the lines right on the mustache. So I usually take the nose to about this point here, and then I will be doing the eyes and the mustache and the cheeks and the forehead and all of that. So I've got that nose as a reference point to work from. Now this is just the way I carve. It's not necessarily the right way or the wrong way. We all develop our own methods, and good luck. I hope you can hit that like button on the way out. And hey, thank you for watching, and thank you for buying me coffees as well, the people that have. Okay, well, we'll see you next time.